Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about Ethan Klein once again. So on his podcast the other day, he was reacting to a clip from Logan Paul's podcast where Logan is talking about how 6 or 7 of his employees are all quitting at the same time, and he feels like things are just kind of spiraling out of control, and he seems really overwhelmed. So of course, Ethan sees this video and sees that Logan Paul might be struggling a little bit right now, and he decides to react to it and speculate on all these terrible things that could be going on in his personal life right now. He said that Logan is addicted to opiates, and this is like a really dark time in his life, and all of his friends are treating him like crap, and this is a cry for help from him. And it was just a really weird narrative that Ethan put on this. It just seemed like a lot of speculation, and it could all be true. Maybe Logan is really struggling right now and he's addicted to drugs, but if it is all true and Ethan does really think that this is a cry for help and this is a really dark time in Logan's life, then it seems kind of weird to be making fun of him and clowning on him on your massive podcast. It really seems like some stuff Keemstar would do. And I know a lot of people just don't give a shit about Logan Paul, and they'd be like, you make fun of him for whatever you want, but I don't think he's that bad of a dude. Like, I'm not a big fan of his, but I don't think he's doing anything that bad right now. Like, he did the suicide force thing, that was fucked up, but he apologized, and I think he could change. Like, it's been a long time, and believe it or not, Ethan Klein is not the only person in the world that can change. So let's get into this video and see what Ethan has to say about Logan Paul's life falling apart.
We've been talking on the show about how Logan Paul's life is falling apart, how he was first of all talking about how he said he takes
opiates.
It helps him stay focused. He was spinning it like, it helps me stay focused, which I was like, oh boy, that's the beginning of a downward spiral too.
Be careful with this power.
This is actually really interesting because I feel like he's doing a legitimate call for help, and his friends are just fucking laughing in his face.
All right, so a lot of my videos, people are like, dude, you're analyzing Ethan way too much. You're looking way too far into things. But did you just hear how this video started? Ethan's like, Logan Paul, he's probably addicted to opiates. This is a cry for help from him. And he's trying to make it sound like Logan's friends here are just laughing at his opiate addiction. Like, the narrative he just tried to paint here in this intro is like all speculation. And the clip they're watching is like a minute long. And Logan's just talking about how he's kind of overwhelmed because some of his employees are quitting. And maybe they are correct, and Logan is like in a dark place right now. But if you think that's true, then why are you goofing on him on your podcast? Like, why wouldn't you just reach out to him privately and be like, hey dude, are you doing all right? It's weird to do a comedy podcast and then just like watch some video of some guy having a breakdown and kind of goof on him and talk about how sad it is, especially if you have a massive audience.
Yeah, it's true. I'll just say it. I'm falling apart. From the inside out. I know on the outside it looks like all is well and dandy.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's not. Oh, it doesn't?
No, you just have to say my insides are starting to mirror my outside.
My insides are starting to mirror my outside.
Mike is such a douche.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a good friend.
At all.
And Mike's sober too, isn't he? Like,
yeah.
You know.
Well, his whole thing is like, his whole shtick is that he's like an addiction specialist.
Right. He's in recovery and everything. And yeah.
These people are so out of touch. Like, Logan wasn't even talking about drugs or being addicted to drugs or struggling with addiction in that clip at all. Like, he's alluding to the fact that some of his employees are quitting at the same time, and he's just overwhelmed by it, I guess. And two friends can't goof around and make fun of each other on a podcast for entertainment. They're friends. I'm sure they know each other's boundaries. And if this is that serious, they probably wouldn't be talking about it on a podcast. And it's so funny because Ethan makes fun of Jordan Peterson's benzo addiction all day long on his podcast. And Ethan hates Jordan Peterson. Like, he's not goofing around with a friend. He's saying it to be mean towards Jordan Peterson. These people just have no self-awareness. Like, Ethan is the asshole here. Ethan just speculated so much. He's like, oh, Logan Paul's on a downward spiral. He's on drugs. His friends all hate him. Nobody cares about him. And then they start watching the video and they're like, oh, this is just sad. Logan Paul does not look good. And they're not saying this because they care about him or anything like that. They're saying this because they don't like him and they want to see him fail and they want to see him struggle.
Gradual collapse you've been witnessing from the outside has now ruptured my insides.
He has no spleen.
My maid, I can't believe I'm saying this. In Puerto Rico, my maid, my Puerto Rican assistant, my Puerto Rican driver, my accountants back in America, and my assistant Danny, my beloved Danny, for 3.5 years of work together, are all leaving at the same fucking time.
So, I mean, if all these people are quitting at once that are working for him and they're like essential people, then I'm sure that is very overwhelming. And that's probably why he feels like things are spiraling out of control and he's struggling right now. Like, if all of Ethan's employees quit at the same time, I'm sure he would feel the same way.
Yeah, they did a huddle.
I swear to God.
They're like, come in, team. Come on in. Come on in. Hey,
they probably did.
Fuck this guy. Am I right?
Yeah, that just tells me that he is just such a horrible dude to work with. That just tells me that he really is fucked.
Yeah, it's true.
Can't help but feel kind of bad for him in this clip.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I will say, though,
when he's surrounded by such horrible friends.
Right. They're just like laughing.
Do these people realize that friends joke around sometimes and they can make fun of each other once in a while? It's crazy. They're watching this and they're like, oh, this is just sad. Yeah, this is sad to see. His friends, they all just make fun of him. They all hate him. He's struggling right now. He's struggling with addiction. When in reality, it's just two friends goofing around with each other on a podcast for entertainment.
As joking as I'm being, we're running as sharp and as optimized mentally as we ever have. So like everyone we do hire needs to be a fucking killer.
You're really gonna go with that?
What do you?
Everybody needs to be, he's saying, everyone we hire needs to be able to handle my mood swings and me being a total fucking douche to them all the time.
All right, I don't even know what the hell I'm watching anymore. Logan just says all the people I hire need to be killers, which he probably just means they need to be really focused. And I'm sure he just wants to have a really solid team around him so he can become even more successful. And of course, Ethan takes that as people need to be able to handle this guy's mood swings and him being a douche to them. And obviously, it doesn't look that great if all of his employees are quitting. Like, maybe he isn't the best employer and he is kind of a douche to his employees, but there's no real evidence of that. Like, maybe they just left because they had better opportunities. And if Ethan wants to talk about people being a douche to their employees, I could easily find a video of him being a douche to his employees.
And being accessory to a bunch of
crime.
Fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fraud. And also probably buying him drugs.
Right.
All right, so also I guess Logan Paul is committing crimes and fraud, and he's sending his employees out to buy him drugs. It's just so clear that these people want Logan Paul's life to be a complete mess, and they just want to see his downfall, and they're just sitting there acting like they care. They're like, oh man, this poor guy, yeah, he doesn't look good. He's not headed in the right direction. But at the same time, they're like, he's a douche. He's a piece of shit. He hangs out with a bunch of assholes. Nobody likes him. Like, Ethan's whole podcast now is basically just like, I don't like this person, so I can say whatever I want about them. It's so crazy to see what's going on here. He's turned into like a combination of Keemstar and Trisha Paytas.
Mentally as we have ever.
Hey, man, look at us.
Are you fucking...
What's with this guy? What does he even do? Like,
I don't know.
he literally does. Okay, whatever.
It's crazy how worked up Ethan gets here. Like, he has so much hatred. Jesus. Like, he's like, what the hell is this guy's problem? What's his deal? Like, what did he even say? Like, why are you so angry right now? And it sounds like none of his employees really knew what Ethan was angry about either. They're all just silent. And then somebody's like, I don't know. And it's crazy that H3 fans have the audacity to get angry when people criticize Ethan. Like, Ethan just makes up a bunch of shit and then attacks people for it and gets mad at people for like no reason. And if he doesn't like somebody, he can just say whatever he wants about them. And then you mentioned that you think Ethan's being a little rude to somebody, and everyone flips out and loses their mind. Like, go touch grass. Don't worry about it. It's none of your business. You're just being sensitive. Ethan and his fans cannot handle criticism at all.
So long. And I'm starting to feel that fucking burnout bad, bro.
Well, lucky for you, Mike, it's the end of the year. And I know because you can.
What?
Because you can also start to feel the world slowing down. I can feel it now. Like it's that Q4
itis.
drudge that everyone's like, dude, I've been working all year. Like, bro, if you're watching and listening to this, I know you feel it. You're like, Christmas is coming, dude. Thanksgiving is here.
I do feel that Christmas
Pretty soon you'll
is
be at the
coming.
dinner table with a fucking fat turkey.
We're never...
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, I feel the desperate call for help.
This clip's going to be in the Logan Paul documentary in 5 years.
For sure.
Yeah.
Ethan is trying so hard to make this some really dramatic thing that's happening right now. Ethan thought that was a desperate call for help. That's his takeaway from that video. Like, what the hell is going on with this guy? And it's so funny because H3 fans will comment on my videos and be like, you're taking things way too seriously when you're talking about Ethan. but did you just hear how Ethan took that situation? Like, he thought that was the most serious thing ever. And you should see H3 fans' comments under this video. People are like, oh, I'm praying for Logan. I hope he can make it through this. I know these are some dark times for him. And people are talking about their drug addiction stories and saying that like opiates are no joke and Logan's probably going through a lot right now. They all just bought into basically everything Ethan said, and they think Logan Paul is just spiraling out of control right now. And maybe they're right, but if you think that's the case, then why would you be talking about this on your podcast? Like, that's just depressing. Like, why are you goofing on some guy that's going through like a real struggle right now? And the way that Ethan and his crew are talking about him, it's not like, oh, I hope he gets better. He doesn't deserve this. Like, I hope he can get past this. It's like, this guy's a piece of shit. Let's bring up every bad thing that he's done in the past. Ethan is just extremely hateful, and he's completely out of touch with reality at this point. Like, when I watched that Logan Paul video, I'm like, he just sounds overwhelmed. Like, he's a big time successful YouTube creator and he did a lot this year, so it's probably just all catching up to him, and he's probably a really busy guy and he probably feels like he had no breaks this year, so he probably just feels burnt out. But of course Ethan sees that video and he's like, oh yes, Logan Paul's life is in shambles and I can make fun of him because he's struggling right now. It's just all negativity on this podcast.
You got to get some therapy. You got to get off the opiates and onto the antidepressants. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Talk to a psychiatrist.
Yeah, Logan needs to get on antidepressants. That's what he needs right now. He needs to take more drugs. And I know people use some drugs to get off of other drugs, but I don't think people generally use antidepressants to get off of drugs. And we don't even know if Logan is addicted to drugs or if he's even depressed. Like, all he said is he's overwhelmed. And I think Ethan and like half of his staff are on antidepressants, and they always make it seem like it's this miracle drug, which I don't have a problem if people are taking it. Like, if it helps them and it's good for them, then that's awesome. I'm glad they're taking it, but it's still a drug, and it shouldn't be something where you're just like, just jump on antidepressants, that'll help you out. Like, it's something you should think through, and you should really only take them if you absolutely need them. Like, if you think you're extremely depressed, then obviously take it. If it's helping you, that's great, but it's still a drug, it's still addictive, and people can abuse it. And like any drug, you do not want to have to rely on it. And I don't think you should make fun of people for taking it, obviously, even though Ethan makes fun of people for taking drugs all the time.
You know, Mike, the addiction specialist over here, such a douche. Fuck that guy.
He shit his gym shorts.
And I didn't see drug addiction being on my Logan Paul bingo card.
I will say
but
that's
that's
true.
definitely what's happening.
It's sad.
It's, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you didn't see it because you just completely made it up just now. Like, if I made a video about how I think Ethan is addicted to antidepressants and I think everyone around him hates him and his life is just spiraling out of control right now and his marriage is failing, H3 fans would probably lose their minds and have a complete meltdown over it. And again, if you think this is really serious and this is sad to watch and this guy is addicted to opiates and his life is just a complete mess right now, then why are you being such an asshole to him on a massive podcast and like making fun of him in front of your audience? And like, why don't you just reach out to him behind the scenes? Like, maybe Ethan did that, but I highly doubt it. Like, if I was a massive YouTuber and I thought that Logan Paul was like going through a really rough time right now, and Logan Paul's not that bad of a guy, it'd definitely be sad to hear if he was really addicted to drugs and he had to go to rehab and he's just really struggling. But if I thought all that was true and I was a giant YouTuber, I would not be talking about it and goofing on him on my massive podcast. I'd probably just reach out to him behind the scenes and be like, hey dude, are you doing all right? But Ethan just loves talking down to people, and he loves trying to make it look like everyone else's life is a complete mess but his is going great. So I don't know what happened. I think Trisha turned him into this kind of person, and also I think the fact that he's just got all these employees around him that agree with basically everything he says. Like, when they're watching that Logan Paul video, somebody should have been like, hey, maybe these are just two friends goofing around and things aren't that serious. But nope, Ethan paints this narrative in the beginning that Logan's on drugs and his life is just a complete mess and everyone hates him and he hates everyone, and then his employees and all of his fans just go along with it and don't even question anything. Alright, so that's about it for this video. Make sure you leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this situation, and then hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.